opulence that the Europeans used to live in, now it's open for the local people. So staying there would be very easy because the CEO of the bauxite company is on the board of directors for this center. So it would be hard to get that done.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
And that's where I stayed the last time I went to meet with UNICEF. I stayed at that same colonial guest house, and it is worth staying in. I wish it could easily accommodate. This thing has dining room, lounge area, veranda, all of this in a room, you know. It's like a house. One room is like a house. This guest house only has 5 rooms. And it's huge. And there's a river and all the palms. It's beautiful. So accommodation would not be a problem. For students, at least 3 can stay in a room with lots of space for everybody to be private, you know. And they have 2 huge beds. And you can ask for a cot. So if you didn't even want to sleep with someone else in the same bed, although the bed is so big, you can get a cot. And everybody has so much space. I've never seen, the British had great standards when it comes to comfort. It's no understatement. Yeah. It's so true. But
Joan, is anybody recording these women's stories? Just the narrative
that's
element?
what we want to do. That's the next level. Somebody needs to write about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's heart-rending, the stories of the children. These little children are talking about things that no child should even be vaguely aware of. And they're talking about it like it's everyday story, you know? Somebody should be recording this. Somebody should be doing more to create records, articles. I see lots of journal articles. I see lots of opportunities for publications from this population. Because there's just so much to do. We just don't even have the manpower.
And there would be also, presumably, in these narratives, there would be the hopeful differences or changes that occur thanks to the...
Yes, yes, because UNICEF now is trying to open a shelter for women and children. Some of these children that don't have owner, the boys from nowhere, who are just roaming the streets, they want to open a shelter for these children and take them off the streets. And the women who are victims of domestic violence, they want to open a big shelter and provide them with the opportunity to go to school, help the women to rebuild their lives. Things that you take for granted in America are totally non-existent in this country. So when you look around here, you just feel like, is this ever going to be able, you know, how is this going to get better, you know? You just feel overwhelmed. You know, if I go down there and I spend 2 weeks and I go to court, when I'm finished, I want to throw up. This is too bad. You see little children like this, you can't even see them, the magistrate can't even see them, they're so little. And they're talking about, I pulled the blind and I see, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to hear this. This shouldn't be happening. You know, the children are so on their own and so vulnerable because they're hungry. They don't have nothing at home. And there's no public social service, no soup kitchens, no school lunches, no school breakfast, nothing. So if you could give them a meal, you can get them to do anything you want. And that's just a crime. That's just a sin. It just depresses everybody. And so, you know, and then the human trafficking, that's the scary part. Like when the cleaner's daughter disappeared, I mean, you know, it's like, this is like knocking on our door. There is human trafficking. These people are stealing these girls and they're being found in places of ill repute in the interior where the miners are just looking for gold and then having fun at night with people's children. And there's nothing you can do about it because you know what? That's a source of income for the whole family. It's like Thailand. It's like mind-boggling, you know.
I imagine that a lot of these women and children would have immediate and maybe longer-term medical needs when they come into the center.
There is a public hospital.
Yeah, Linden District Hospital. Do you have a relationship with Linden District Hospital that would allow those women and children to be treated in a kind of protected way so that they wouldn't be found while they're being treated? And
no, there's no protection for them, no security. That's what this shelter is going to address that. But there's a public hospital. Although this is a poor country, medical care is free. But you're not going to get like the PEP tests, all the extra things that cost a lot of money. You're not going to get that. But medical care, there are public hospitals throughout the country. And of course, there are the private ones for people who want better care, but you get a basic standard of care. And so that's why I have trouble understanding why, you know, this rich country that we live in, America, there is no public hospital, you know, because this country is so poor and they have public, but you're not going to get, you know, they even give them basic dental care for free. But you're not going to get the test if you're late to prevent you from getting HIV, because that costs a lot of money, that PET test. So you're not going to get everything. You're going to die if you have a serious illness. But basic care, you're going to get for free. But these women are terrified. These women run into the center and hide literally like children. And the lawyer has to call the police. The police has to send a vehicle with 2 officers to go and arrest the man before they could leave the center. They're just glad they have somewhere to go, because they say when they go to the station in the Caribbean, beating a woman is like required. It's a cultural thing. So women feel like, I have to take it. So when they get beaten and they run away and they go to the police station, they'll be like, look, that's your domestic matter. We don't have time for stupidness. You know? And the women are being killed. A lot of them are maimed, burnt. I've seen women who are burnt, cut up. You know, it's like every day you're seeing some disaster, and these people are still acting like there's no problem. So the women actually need an intermediary between the police and their homes. And that was what the legal aid center became that. Because they would just run in the center and sit down, and then the lawyer would have to do something to make it safe for them. Because the police would listen to the lawyer, but they wouldn't listen to the woman. They'd be like, forget the boy, he knew nothing. You know, it's the sort of thing.
So if the students went to Guyana and did internships, what would they be doing? Just research? What would they be doing?
This research that Dr. Rosenthal was talking about, we wanted to do a survey, a client satisfaction survey, where we would go and sample our clients and find out in what ways the center benefited them, were their interests being protected, were they being served, and also what we can do to help them in the future, what unique problems they have. On the cover of that survey, we were going to gather data, some of that data, and publish it in a journal. See, because just a survey wouldn't tell us their story. But if we get the money to do the survey, then we can open it up to open-ended questions and gather information, and then publish it to try to get awareness and, you know, so forth. So the students will be doing that, getting a chance to interview these people, random selection. We'll bring them into the center, some of them, and if the students want, we'll allow them to go to the hall. So we'll vet that process and make sure it's safe. They're in the company of a local person and stuff like that. Otherwise, Dr. Litwin was more in favor of bringing the people into the control setting, into the center, and then have them be, you know, have the thing being administered then. Then we will bring it back, put it into SPSS, run the statistical analysis, do the theoretical work, the research. All of this the students will do, and then become co-authors of the article. But we didn't get the funding to do that. We weren't successful.
So get back to domestic violence with the men beating on the women. Is there a lot of women killing their husbands or their perpetrators, and then how are they defended? Because do they have, like here, I know in the States, you can go and get help and they document stuff. Okay, is there documentation about the abuse?
Well, we're implementing that because when they come to us, we call the police. We have a relationship with the police where they have to act, they have to take the report. And then the magistrates are also working in the court to give these women a hearing, a full hearing, to give them justice. But you can't protect a woman who has to leave that place and go home, go on the street. These men can lay in wait, so they have to be arrested and locked up. And to get that done, you have to have a lawyer, because the police aren't listening to the women. But if we can get that intervention going in all the cases that we can, we will reduce domestic violence, because the word will get around that you're going to be arrested and locked up. And it's not nice to be locked up in our facilities in Vienna. You don't get all these different choices of meals and all that. It's not a nice place, so people don't want to be locked up. So it will have a deterrent effect.